All right, welcome to this MRAA chat with Jared Kelly, Content Manager, along with Bernie DeGraw and Jennifer McLaughlin. I can let them introduce themselves a little later and what they do with MRAA, but the reason why we're having this meeting is to discuss a dealership 101 project that MRAA is doing. It'll debut later this winter at Dealer Week 2025 in Tampa. But we have been speaking with dealers and found out that they have pain points when it comes to new hires. And a lot of new hires they bring in don't have the experience in terms of boating knowledge, marine experience, or working in a dealership in general. So dealers have said, hey, we need that kind of stuff. We need information like that to help us teach our new hires about boating so then they feel more confident when working with customers and our staff. And so one thing I want to do is pull up, and you can see it is the MRA Pulse Report. We asked a couple questions in there. One of the first was about the percentage of new hires in boating with dealership experience. And as you can see, the numbers are there. But I thought, and Bernie, you can talk to me. I'll bring you in on this now, but and you can announce what your role is with the MRA here before you talk. But I thought that this was going to be like 50-50. Like, yeah, you have a lot of work employees who know boating, and you have a lot, or some that may not know that you're bringing in. But explain that.
Well, all right, great. Bernie DeGraw. I'm the senior education developer for MRAA, but I'm also co-owner of a two-location dealership in upstate New York. So we're pretty regularly hiring folks and getting them onboarded. I won't say we're great at it, but we're learning. And Jared, I would say, the thing is, we hire a tech or a sales manager or a service manager once every great while, but very regularly we're hiring folks to detail boats or yard staff. Since we have a marina, I'll call them yard kids. And we hire them very frequently. And so I think that is why you see a higher percentage of folks coming into the dealerships that don't have a lot of boating background, whereas the techs or a sales manager, service manager probably does. We just don't hire as many of them. That's why I think that particular chart shows, excuse me, very few people that come into the marina or the dealership with that boating knowledge.
Right. And it's clear that because of that, some dealers have pain points in that area. They go, hey, how do we, first of all, we have to train them to work with everyone in our business, but now we also have to train them about boating and boat ownership and boat safety and how to work with interdepartments, all those kind of things. And so we asked that second question, hey, what do you need? Do you need the boating lifestyle and safety basics for your new hires? What do you other things? And they pretty much said, yeah, whatever you have, we'll take all the above. And Jennifer, you've have firsthand experience working in a dealership. So just introduce yourself and then say kind of that experience what you gained, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So my name is Jennifer. I work with the MRAA as a membership specialist. So I communicate with a lot of our members about things that are going on with their dealerships and the needs that they have. Prior to this, though, I was working at a dealership in Ontario as a service advisor and a warranty administrator. So I kind of view my time there in two different phases. I started when I was a student as a summer employee. There it was called a marina crew member, and I kind of did, I pumped gas, I scooped ice cream, I was cleaning boats, working the till, just helping customers out. And at the time, I was really excited to do that for a fun summer job, an opportunity to meet other people my own age, and kind of be out in the sun a little bit. But then kind of phase two of working at the marina was that when I graduated university during COVID, I was a little discouraged by the thought of starting my first professional role as a remote employee. So the marina offered me work until I was able to find something else, and I accepted. And a few months in, they offered me a full-time position there as a service writer before I transitioned into a service advisor and started taking on some more work. So it was really rewarding to do that.
Right. So, Bernie, you can jump in anytime you want too, but I have a couple follow-ups for Jennifer. One being how much boating did you know when you first started from the student to the next level that you took? But also, what kind of helped you get acclimated to those two different roles that you were doing?
Yeah. I had been a lifetime boater. I mean, I got my boating license when I was 8, and I had owned a boat and driven it. And yet I realize now that I didn't really know much at all about boating. I knew how to drive a boat. That was the extent. And I would watch my dad when he winterized the boat or did an oil change at the end of the year. But once I started working at the dealership, I quickly realized that there was so much more to it. Uh, and beyond that, managing hundreds of customers rather that all have different needs for their different boats can be a lot for a business. So I think it was interesting when I started as a marina crew member, I really didn't know anything, and customers would come up to me, and I would usually just try to point them towards the full-time staff, the service staff. Um, Down the road, once I started to get more responsibility in my role, there were a lot of factors that helped. I think for me, the biggest learning opportunities came from just being surrounded by our technicians and our parts staff, because as a service writer and as a service advisor, you are only as good as your technicians. You kind of have to interpret what they tell you and figure out a way to communicate that effectively to the customer. And so it's really apparent when you don't know what you're talking about, or you can easily start to look inexperienced if a customer asks you a follow-up question and you have to go back to the shop and ask. And so that really motivated me to want to learn as much as I could. And luckily, I had a really great staff around me. My service manager in particular, he created a vocab worksheet for us in the office. And so he empowered us to kind of use our resources, ask the technicians, ask the parts employees, and figure out what the definitions were for everything. And he also spoke with the shop foreman and other technicians and explained that if they came across specific jobs, he wanted them to kind of tap us on our shoulders and have us go into the shop and see, so that we could get the visual understanding of why certain jobs took more time, or why certain jobs made the technicians kind of give us a look when they saw it on their schedule. So it helped a ton to have people around me being willing to impart their knowledge, because there's book learning is incredibly valuable in that role, but to be able to see it visually and hear it in a technician's words, it gave me an additional level of understanding that made me look like I knew what I was talking about when I was dealing with customers.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, that's
Say,
exactly what I was looking for. There was so you got the both some terminology, but you also got some of the immersion, which helped a ton. Bernie, go ahead.
Jennifer hit right on the head. I think an interesting aspect of being at a dealership is if you were wearing the shirt, if you're an employee there at the dealership, customers think you know boats. That's just the way it is because you work at the dealership. And that's why I think the onboarding program we're putting together really becomes so important. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're wearing the dealership shirt, you need to know. Now, you might not be the expert, and that's where I think the onboarding. So, folks learn a little bit about boats and engines, they learn about the structure of the business so they know who to refer a customer to. And knowing a little bit And learning fast from customers about the boating lifestyle and safety is going to be hugely beneficial. And I know the MRAA group is really working on condensing that learning so that all the new people that keep flowing in, as you can see on that chart, the vast majority don't know much about it. That's what I'm looking forward to, is really giving our new hires a really rapid glimpse into the details. And as Jennifer mentioned, to overcome what I find sometimes, she went to work because it was sunshine and dock and lake and boats and summer. And I see that a lot with our staff. It is a great job, but it's also a business. And learning about the business and those details is what's going to be essential and what I know we're looking to provide.
Totally.
Yeah. So what do you think is the most imperative next steps? I mean, clearly we got to build some of this, and the next spotlight for March will be kind of a hint to the dealership 101. We're going to work with some of our industry partners, including RBFF and Discover Boating, CETO, to add some of their education that they already exist out there. This can include some terminology, boat types, uh, the boating lifestyle kind of things. But what could a dealer today who lacks some of that right now, what could they do the next step they could take?
Let Jennifer take it because she's had the experience. And what I heard from her and what I've learned is personalizing the onboarding is a huge step in the right direction. Don't turn it over. Don't turn that onboarding, or that, in a sense, turn that new person loose to the wolves that are your technicians, that are the rest of your yard guys and staff and the customers. Personalize it. Make sure that they've met the folks that are going to help them learn. Introduce them to customers and to their tasks and personalize it. Whoever's doing it, whether it's the owner, as I often did, or the service tech, or the yard manager, whoever it is, have them personalize it. Make it that one-to-one learning. And I think that makes a big difference. And I think I heard Jennifer kind of talk about that.
Yeah. No, I was so lucky. My service manager was willing to take the time and kind of figure out what I needed to learn and was able to modify things in such a way that, I'm a very tactile learner. I like visual examples. And so he was able to accommodate that, whereas other people in the office felt differently. And that was a huge help for me, especially because I think something that makes me a little bit different than others is that I want as much information as I can get, even if it wasn't super relevant. I want the full picture. And I know that not everyone's like that. Some people want to only know the information that they need to do their role. And so I was incredibly lucky that I had someone who listened and understood and tailored things to that. But I also recognize that, time is money, and running a dealership is incredibly difficult at any time of the year. There's so much going on. And often when you're bringing on new staff, it's because you need them. There's an empty role, there's jobs piling up, there's paperwork piling up. It can feel like the onboarding should come later, like let's just get someone in and get things going. But I think there's a balance. And one of the things I hear from dealers a lot now that I'm working with the MRAA is that they only want to add a few of their staff to access training. And that is something that I feel like is doing them a disservice because, like Bernie said, when I was wearing a dealership logo as a 19-year-old college student who did not have much driving expertise beyond the fact that I was able to turn a boat on and dock it moderately well. I was shocked by the number of people I would catch their boat on the gas dock and asking me to, oh, can you check the speedometer's not working? I'm like, sir, I don't really know what that is. I don't know why you're asking me to do this. Or, they'd ask something and I would say, oh, well, our service department's over there. I forgot my shoes. I don't want to walk across the gravel. Can you just help me? No, I can't. I really don't know anything. And I didn't even have the vocabulary to explain properly to them why they should be going to see someone in the service department. And so I think sharing knowledge across your entire team, and again, I know time is money, and especially when it comes to summer staff, the summer flies by. If you have a marina and you're hiring those seasonal staff, it can feel like by the time you've taught them how to do the job, it's time for them to go back to school. But I think taking the time to spread knowledge to every inch of your staff, of your team, is going to strengthen your business. It's going to allow your customers to get consistent information regardless of who they speak to with a logo on their shirt. It's going to allow them to feel like everyone is communicating with each other at your dealership. That was one of my biggest frustrations behind the desk is when someone came up with an issue and said, well, I spoke to so and so on the dock and they said it might be this. I said, I need a technician to look at this before we get into this. So I really think that knowledge is power, and it really is a fantastic opportunity to strengthen your business if you're willing to share this kind of training throughout all of your staff and make sure that everyone is really empowered to thrive in their role.
Yeah, I think you touched on it. And I think you can use when these resources are completed, first of all, on the spotlight page, but then when we have Dealership 101 later in the year, I think they're going to be really helpful. But as a business yourself, and we know that everybody learns it different. You mentioned it. So video is a good way to help people learn. And you can have your own team if you have a marketing team in-house. You can shoot some video to just help with some of the new hires to learn a few of this terminology or what to do if this that happens. Just some frequently asked questions that you'll run into. What happens if someone asks me on the dock to do this? Well, yeah, you're not going to be able to address that. So here's how you do it, right? I think that there's ways that you can also take what we give you, but also build on yourself to know that it works for you to customize it. So anything else from you two experts?
Great. I'm just looking forward to getting that information out to all the dealers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, likewise. I thank you for both your time. And again, remember to check out the March spotlight page on new hire or new employee orientation. And in this December coming up at Dealer Week, we'll launch the Dealership 101 from MRAA. Thank you.